Welcome to Oh My Menses, a digital space dedicated to all things menstruality, periods, hormones, and cycle-informed living. Join me, Corinda, naturopath and fertility educator, as we explore topics that we probably don't hear about enough. From stories of menarche, birth control, and common period problems to menstrual shame, sex, fertility, and the moon, if it's about the human female experience, I probably talk about it. This is a place of sharing, remembering, learning, and unlearning, where we come together and reclaim our cyclical power. So sit back, relax, let's all connect with our wombs, and remember our brilliant cyclical nature. Welcome to part 2 of 2024 hormonal health ins. If you caught part 1, welcome back. You would know that there was some thunder while I was recording the second half of the last episode. I'm continuing to record this part right now, right after part 1, so there is still some thunder and lightning. So again, just a heads up in regards to the background noise. But I hope it's okay. I hope you enjoy thunder sounds as much as I do. So, if you haven't listened to part 1, I would highly encourage you to check that out first. We covered the importance of the circadian rhythm and hydration, and not your basic hydration tips. We got a little nuanced, we got a little hippie with it, and I love it. So check that out. My third in for hormonal health in 2024 is regular meal times. Prioritizing and welcoming food. And before I say more on that, I'm going to shout out Andrew Sturman, who is an amazing, I want to say food practitioner. That is not his official title. He has a background in Chinese medicine. He has background in nutrition and diet and being a chef. And he has a book called Welcoming Food. And I have been doing a masterclass seminar of his recently. I've been doing it in parts. And he explained he called his book Welcoming Food because so often we are in a state of not welcoming food. And that really got me thinking. And I just want to invite you to reflect on this for yourself right now. How many times in your life have you rejected food, or at the very least had a tense connection with food? How many meals do you eat where you are not wholeheartedly enjoying what you're eating and really welcoming that food with open arms into your digestive system? I feel like many of us were taught to restrict food in really complicated ways and distorted ways for the sake of what our bodies look like, for the sake of trying to alter the shape of our body when there was no real reason to do so. And I think a lot of us have our wires crossed when it comes to eating and remembering the purpose of eating and remembering how food is this gorgeous, magical gift that fuels us, that can nourish us, that can literally influence every aspect of your being. So yes, we're talking about hormones, and hormones affect every part of your body. And something that affects every part of your body is also food. So yeah, I just wanted to drop that concept on you and see how that feels in your being. Welcoming food. And maybe just an invitation there to ask that question before you eat. Every instance you go to eat, whether it's a meal or a snack, whether it's alone or with others, just asking, am I ready to welcome this food? Am I welcoming this food? Every time you have a digestive symptom, even asking, did I welcome my most recent meal into my body? Or was it rushed? Was it an eye roll? Was it like, I don't know what to cook, so I'm just going to do this? Was it a surge of emotional eating, feeling stressed? So I'm just going to eat and I'm not actually feeling what my body's feeling as I'm taking this food in. There are, so many complex things that can come with eating. And so I just want to invite you to connect with that concept of welcoming food, not just with your stomach, but with your heart. And maybe there's a gratitude practice in there that might spark you up and go, ooh, yeah, I could practice more active gratitude towards my meals. That's something I'd like to do. My bigger point here is about prioritizing meal times. And the hormone health out for 2024 that would complement this in is that's a really weird sentence. So what's out for hormone health is continuing to pretend or behave as though skipping meals is a cute little personality quirk that a lot of gals do, and like it's just who I am, and like I've never eaten breakfast, or like it's just a part of my personality, or like I can go till 2 p.m. without eating, like I just get so caught up in whatever I'm doing. Nah. I've called your hormones and they said, nah, that ain't a good idea no more. It was never a good idea. And similar to my point that I said about night owls when I was talking about the circadian rhythm in the last episode, people who say to me, I don't eat breakfast, I can't eat breakfast, I've never eaten breakfast, it's just how I've always been. I don't believe that that's like, oh, it's how you've always been, so that's what's physiologically right for you. For a majority of people who say that, I think it's just patterning. It's just habitual patterning. It's cultural conditioning that they have been practicing for years and years and years. And of course, the body can get used to that. The body will try to adapt to that, and it will do the best it can with what you're giving it. But I believe menstruating women, cycling women need fuel. And I think breakfast is a really big part of that. A recent audiobook that I listened to called Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. I will link that down below because I cannot remember the author's name. It was actually, mostly about the circadian rhythm, but I loved it. It was through the lens of Ayurvedic medicine. And oh my God, it was just, so happy to listen to that audiobook. I loved so many of the points that it made. And it spoke about regular meal times. And it spoke about them in the context of the Ayurvedic times of day, which I won't get into because that's a bit too much of a detour, but I don't know, if you've ever done like a dosha quiz, an Ayurvedic dosha quiz, it can be really fun if you're into that. So I invite you to learn more about that and just look up like Ayurvedic body clock. It's super, super interesting. I've actually got it like laid out in my calendar now just because it's something that I'm like, yeah, I want this on my awareness more. Like, let's have a play around with this. But yes, in this book, Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life, meal times were really, really important. And you know, something that actually goes hand in hand with optimizing your circadian rhythm is optimizing the consistency of your meal times. Because again, like hands up, like my hands up right now, hands up if you've ever, or if you're a person that's just like, I eat when I'm hungry and I don't plan heaps of my meals in advance. So a lot of the time I'm just making it up as I go. And sometimes I eat lunch at 12:30 because I'm starving and it feels good to eat lunch. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe I eat at like 3 p.m. and then dinner's at 7. And then if it's a weekend, I sleep in. So like I don't eat till 11 and then I don't really have lunch, and then dinner's like late at like 8 p.m. because we went out. Now, of course, the one-off instances, life's gonna life, human's gonna human. Of course, there's gonna be times where we cannot eat at exactly the same time every day. I think that's fairly unrealistic for most of the lives that we live. Most of the lives that we live? How many lives do you live? I'm sure that's unrealistic for most of us. That's a better way to say that. But it changed the fucking game for me, where I just asked myself to just take note of what times you're eating, Corinda. Instead of just being radically different every day and going with the flow as you deemed the flow every day and eating at completely random times, Just start to take note of those random times. Okay, I did that. And I realized that I really had no eating schedule. And it was a little unfair of me to expect my body to function like this well-oiled machine when I was not even fueling it on a consistent basis. And one of the things I love about consistency is that it translates into safety. And if you are not consistently nourishing your body at roughly the same time every day, let's say within the same hour time range, let's give ourselves an hour window there, it makes sense that your body may not function the best, right? Especially, again, pulling back from part one, when we consider that we have these clock genes all throughout our body that respond to our circadian rhythm, that respond to our melatonin levels, that respond to our light and darkness exposure, that literally function based on what time of the day it is. So our body, in a sense, knows the time. It doesn't know the time in terms of the numbers that men have made up to denote the time, but it knows the time in the context of a whole day and a whole night, right? So I invite you to, I guess, one, be aware of meals that you regularly skip. Be aware of times that you actually eat. And start to play around with, could I be eating at more consistent times? If you are totally happy with the state of health you are currently in, you might not need to try this. But if you think there is any room for improvement to be had with your hormones, your cycles, your overall health, I say, why not give this a go? This could be one of the pieces to the puzzle that makes up your very complex life, your very complex picture of health, that could start to slowly but surely improve some things. Give it a go. Now, with that in mind, my super loosey-goosey recommendations for, okay, Corinda, so eat more consistently, but is there a best time to eat breakfast? Is there a best time to eat lunch? I do have some thoughts on this. I do believe that we should be eating breakfast within 60 to 90 minutes of waking up. I believe that is most ideal for hormone health. And then in terms of hormone health and blood sugar regulation, and whenever we talk about blood sugar, we're also talking about your energy levels. So for optimal energy management, I believe it's important to eat every 3 to 4 hours, having a longer fast overnight, and maybe on some other occasions when there's a therapeutic benefit to fasting. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in this episode. So having breakfast within 60 to 90 minutes of waking up, and then having lunch 3 to 4 hours later. And then after lunch, having dinner 3 to 4 hours later. 5, I also think is okay. If you have a tendency towards low blood sugar issues, I would be going more to the 3 to 4 hour side of things. If you do have more metabolic flexibility and you can be truly sustained throughout the day without eating super regularly and super close together, and you're not needing to snack between meals, you might be able to stretch things out to that 5-hour mark between meals in the day. In terms of eating before bed, I think it's important to leave a good couple of hours between your last meal and going to bed. Sleep is a really important time for a very specific kind of rest and recovery. Again, you've got these clock genes in your body. Specific cells within your organs do specific functions based on the time of day or night it is, based on how much what your levels of melatonin are in your body. So during sleep, your body is doing these really special functions that are helping you consolidate memories, repair muscle tissue, repair damaged DNA, repair faulty cells. And it's just a very special kind of rest, which is why we all do it. It's why we all sleep. So if we're putting food into our system and then expecting our body to go into this beautiful state of deep rest for a good 7 to 8 hours, 7 to 9 hours even, we're asking a lot of our bodies again to, can you digest my food optimally and then also do all the important stuff that comes with sleep? Sleep wasn't made for that early level of digestion. So see if you can. I've actually been a really huge fan of early dinners lately. I'm trying to have all my food done by 6:30 p.m. So far, I'm getting, it's closer to 7:30, but I'm trying. And I've got my aim of eating a little bit earlier. And I find that when I do, I sleep better and I feel better the next morning. And my bowel movements are a lot better. TMI. If you're listening to this podcast, you've always got to be braced for TMI. This may as well be called TMI podcast, just as a side note, alternative name. So, experiment with allowing a bit more of a gap between dinner and bedtime. The other thing I want to say about food regularity is, what's that? There's a silly little phrase that people say that I actually love, but I'm calling it a silly phrase because I can't remember it. It's like, is it breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper? This is a time where I look to my producer who doesn't exist and say, is that right? Is that right, Craig? No, there is no producer. So you're either just laughing at me because I'm talking to someone who's not there, or you're laughing at me because I said the phrase wrong, or you know exactly what I'm talking about and you're like, yes, Karina, you said it right. Stop making it a bit. So I do see general improvement with my clients' vitality, energy, metabolism, hormone health when breakfast is a more predominant meal of the day. Lunch is also a predominant middle of the day. And if I am going by the Ayurvedic clock for a hot second, the middle of the day is peak pitta time, which is a real fiery dosha. And digestion is ruled by fire. There is a level of heat and fire and spiciness, not too much spiciness, that is required for optimal digestion. And so doing it closer to the middle of the day when the sun is at its peak, and there's these beautiful ancient systems that say, yes, this is a time of the day where metabolism is greater than usual. Metabolic capacity is higher than usual. I think that's a good time to be eating most of our food. Towards the end of the day, we're not at that metabolic peak. So big lunch, a big breakfast, big-ish lunch, smallish dinner. I also think many of us have chronic gut health issues, metabolic, hormonal issues, because we kind of do the opposite. We can skip breakfast, maybe have a coffee in the morning, maybe have a small piece of fruit, or, worst case, nothing at all with maybe, an energy drink or caffeine. Push our adrenal glands to get us through these higher, intense times of the first half of the day, push us through to, our lunch break, 1 or 2 p.m., sometimes even 3. So we're running on empty and then we're starving by, mid-afternoon, or we're hitting that slump of energy. We're going back for more caffeine. We're going back for snacks. We're going to sugary foods that aren't going to be sustaining for our energy, but are going to give us a quick peak that our bodies that have adapted to this pattern feel like they need, right? And then we're going to finish the workday, and then we're going to go home and have a big dinner. Because again, we're starving because we didn't fuel ourselves early in the day. And I feel like culturally, we just tend to have these carb heavier dinners, these greasier dinners. And it's been really fun for me to just challenge, I absolutely fit in that picture that I just described. I have 1,000% lived that life. I am calling myself out as much as I'm calling you out, right? And it's been really fun to just experiment with how I've been doing things, challenge how I've been doing things, and be open to at least trying a different way. And again, similar to having an earlier dinner, when I have a lighter dinner, I just freaking feel better. When I put in the effort and the time to plan a decent sized breakfast that has all the elements of protein, carbs, fats, I feel so much better. My energy is coming from a more nourished place for the whole day. It's not coming from this activated, adrenalized, gotta go, gotta hustle, gotta work, oh my God, get through the day kind of vibe. It's coming from this deeply rooted place of like, I'm fueled, baby, let's go. And that's the place where your hormones thrive as well. So, regular meal times, big in for your hormones in 2024, in my opinion. And remember that out. It is not cute to skip meals because you're forgetful. If you have an experience of neurodivergence where you might have less strong interoception, being able to feel your body sensations, knowing when you're hungry or knowing when you're full, I invite you to go to the effort to put in timers on your phone, on your laptop, whatever's going to be around you during the day. Timers for start cooking this meal, eat this meal. Like, and it might sound really petty, but I just meet too many of us. I meet too many of us who are just skipping meals like it's not a big deal, just like we're skipping sleep like it's not a big deal. And it fucking is. Like, I'm here speaking on behalf of your hormones. It's a big deal. It's not cool. It ain't it. And we can do better for our bodies, especially if we're expecting our bodies to like function beautifully, because they can. They have that capacity. But are we giving it the right fuel to meet that full capacity? It's easy to not be giving it the fuel that it needs. And I say all of this with love. But give it a go if you need to. Put reminders on for when you need to be eating your meals or cooking your meals. Factor in cooking time if that's a block for you as well. Welcoming food. Are you welcoming food or are you rejecting food? Are you straining food? Are you pushing away food, but eating it just because you have to? All right. I'll leave that food tab there. That was a lot. And then next up, our next hormone health in for 2024 is ditching the cycle shoulds. Now, what are cycle shoulds? You know me. I talk about menstrual cycle awareness all the time. I talk about tracking your menstrual cycle. I talk about the different phases of the menstrual cycle, how you can feel different energetically in your body, mentally, during different phases of your cycle. I talk all about that. I talk about how you could exercise differently during each phase, how you could eat slightly differently during each phase. Love that. Menstrual cycle awareness, love it. CYCLE-LOVIN, love it. What I'm not a fan of, and what is unfortunately becoming a tendency as the internet continues to be the internet and trends continue to be trends, is this whole thing of like menstrual cycle awareness being trendy in the sense of when you're on this cycle day, this happens. So you should do this. When you're on this phase of your cycle, this happens. So you should do this. And it's very prescriptive, it's very directive, and it's very rigid. And I'm also going to put my hand up now and say there are probably times where I've been guilty of doing that. I have probably ever made content that has been quite prescriptive in regards to what to do in X phase of your menstrual cycle. And I will continue to do that ever at all because I think that knowledge is valuable. I think overall menstrual cycle knowledge, specifically the phases of the menstrual cycle, is still super underrated, even though on a lot of parts of the internet, it is becoming more trendy, more of a thing. The people are hearing it. I love it. Let's talk more about menstrual cycles. But still, culturally, collectively, it is this massively overlooked and underrated thing. So yeah, I'm going to give cliche, stereotypical textbook tips about the menstrual cycle. But what I want to vow, as a menstrual cycle educator and naturopath, I want to vow to focus more on helping you connect to your own body. And that includes your own body's rhythm. So when I say ditching the cycle shoulds, I'm talking about taking that really prescriptive menstrual cycle advice with a grain of salt. Again, I see far too many of us who get super caught up with, I saw this thing on TikTok, I saw this thing on Instagram about the menstrual cycle. I'm not like that. I don't feel that way at that time in my cycle. What's wrong with me? And it breaks my heart every time I hear that. And I'm also, if I'm channeling Sassy Corinda, I'm also overhearing that, because it is just not the fucking truth. There is nothing wrong with you if you don't experience a specific thing at a specific time in your cycle. There may be imbalances, there may be room for improvement. There is nothing wrong with you. And a lot of this prescriptive advice, a lot of these cycle shoulds can encourage one to feel like there is something wrong with them. And I'm just not about that. And it also detracts from the bigger message of helping people to get to know their own bodies. Not relying on an app to say your period's going to come at this time. Not relying on an app to tell you you ovulated on this day. And side note, we cannot continue to let apps do that. Apps do not know when we ovulate. Do you know who knows when you can ovulate? When you've ovulated? You. Yes, there is information to learn. There are things to know about your body. But you have all the tools you need. And it pains me when we continue, again, I say women, I say females, and I'm meaning on a very generalized collective scale. But we continue to outsource our well-being to technology, to people who know more than us, to people who we think should know more than us, right? To experts, to doctors, to medical professionals. Having this sense of feeling out of control or out of touch with our bodies. Let someone else sort it out. Oh no, I might get something wrong. I might break it. So I better leave it to the professionals. And I'm just, that's also a hormonal health out for 2024. It is, that notion is out. We are so powerful. We know so much. And I think sometimes we just need to trust ourselves a little bit more with our own bodies. We need to trust that if we start listening, we will get the information. We will get the messages on what to do next, on steps to take. And of course, yes, we can call upon other people to help guide us, to help inform us. But outsourcing your relationship with your body to a medical professional, blah, done. Your body's on the phone, your body's on the other line. They said, nah, that ain't it, fam. Your body's trying to call you. You need to answer the call. And not use an app to answer the call. Not use a period tracking app that tells you your period's going to come on this day and you ovulated on this day, without you checking your cervical mucus, without you checking your basal body temperatures, without you feeling your own cervix, without you feeling your own fluids. There is so much your body is wanting to tell you. And we just need to make that first decision to go, yep, I want to listen. I want to be more aware and I want to listen to my fucking body. Ditch the cycle shoulds. Get to know yourself. Get to know your own cycle. And who I've learnt beautiful threads of menstrual cycle awareness from, the likes of Claire Baker, the likes of Alexandra Pope and Shani Wurtzler. I might be butchering her name. When they speak of menstrual cycle awareness, Jane Hardwick Collins, when they speak of menstrual cycle awareness, the golden rule is that your experience of your cycle trumps all other rules, trumps all other suggestions about what your cycle should be doing. Your experience comes first. And so that's what I'm about. That's what your hormones want. They want you to be involved in your experience, focused on your experience of your own cycle, not worried about what other people are doing, what's normal for other people, what are influencers on the internet saying about their menstrual cycles. And side note, I love sharing. I do love hearing about what's going on with people's menstrual cycles, but not from this lens of, is there something wrong with me if my cycle isn't like that person on TikTok who spoke about their cycle? My period's not like that. My period's only 3 days, and this girl on the gram said like 5 days is normal. Like, is there something wrong with me? There's too much fear around our bodies. Oh man, which actually perfectly leads me into my final point. And I'm going to take a sip of water before I get there. My final point, the last hormonal health in for 2024, in the opinion of yours truly, is facing limiting beliefs and fears that you have about your body. There is so much I could say about this, and I'm actively, consciously going to try to not go off on too many tangents. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. And I'm going to start that thread of simplicity by saying that when we think about healing, what sort of healing can come from a place of being scared about what your body's doing, being in a perpetual state of fear about what your body's showing you through symptoms, through discomfort, through imbalance. And a similar question, what kind of healing, what kind of transformation can come from a place of being stuck in limiting belief loops about your body, holding on to limiting beliefs about your body's capacity to heal? Oh, my body's so crazy. Oh, my hormones are just fucking chaos. Like, oh my God. I'm a fucking crazy bitch. Like, and it's just how I've always been, a week out from my period. Oh my God, I'm having these fucking breakouts again. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why won't my acne go away? Why can't I lose this weight in my lower belly? Why, we relate to our symptoms so often from a place of fear, anger, sometimes avoidance, but mostly fear. And potentially even from a place of wanting the symptom to go away, but having a deep, deep, deep belief that you're shit, your body is shit, and your body can't change for the better. Beliefs that you do not have the capacity to heal. And I see this a lot in people who are desperately searching for all the answers. People who are always on some kind of health journey, who start one protocol, ditch it a few weeks later because the excitement wears off, go on to something else, yo-yo on diets, yo-yo between practitioners, buy all the masterclasses, buy all the supplements. There's a seeking of health, but so often behind that there is this just deep fear within the body that it's never going to get better. Even though consciously on paper, if you had to write down what the person was saying on paper, the actions the person was taking on paper, it would look like, oh, they're really trying to get healthy. But the belief and the emotion behind it matters. And gals, let me tell you, I wish it didn't. Things would be so much more simple if the emotion behind the action didn't mean anything. Life would be so much smoother if limiting beliefs did not exist, if what we believed about ourselves and our lives didn't have an effect on our actual lives, oh my God, shit would be so much easier. That's just not how it is. Unfortunately, our thoughts create our life. Our beliefs about our life create and inform our life. And this is some deep work, but I know you didn't click on this episode for the shallow shit. And that's why I'm telling you. I know you didn't put your trust in me to be in your ears today to tell you some shallow bullshit about how you can improve your health. This is deep shit that not many people will tell you. Honestly, this is deep shit that took me so long to realize as a health practitioner that I was depriving my clients of by not talking about limiting beliefs, by not giving them tools to help regulate their nervous systems, to help somatically process difficult emotions, to not invite them to reflect on their beliefs. I will be the first to admit that I have let clients down because I neglected this whole element of health and healing. I was so focused on just the science and the chemical and the biology and what can be measured. And, and the getting better and the this is good for that, so take that and that should fix you right up. And I wasn't asking the questions about, do you believe you can heal? What beliefs do you hold about your body? What kind of relationship do you have with your body? Yes, I see that you've come to a health appointment and that is great. But are you coming to this health appointment from a place of, love and just absolute care for your body and absolute belief in its ability to heal once you give it the right resources or the right conditions? Or are you coming to that health appointment from a place of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, everything's going wrong with my body. Quick, someone fix it. Oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God, my body's just a piece of shit. It's not easy work. This, I would almost regard this as a form of shadow work. Especially if these are questions that you have never considered before. If you don't think about what you believe about your body and yourself on a semi-regular basis or even an occasional basis, this is deep work. But I truly believe it's also the kind of work that's going to be the difference between feeling a change in your body, which creates a change in your entire life, versus trying to heal your body, doing some of the right things, but not feeling a change and not noticing a change in your life. And at the end of the day, we out here to change lives. Like, that's what I'm about. When it comes to my own life, that's what I'm about. I'm always changing my life. Dang, I am the creator of my life. And I got to take accountability for when I'm holding on to shitty fucking beliefs that are keeping me stuck, that are keeping me untransformed, that are keeping me in a place of comfortable discomfort, familiar discomfort, right? And I got to celebrate myself when I fucking bring things into my life and create changes in my body that I fucking called for. Yes, I did intend this change. Thank you. Go me. It's this double-edged sword of like, fuck, I create my life. That's so cool. Wow, look at all this power. Then also, oh, fuck, wow, look at all this power. If I have some dodgy old beliefs that were maybe projected onto me when I was a fucking kid, which I'm going to say is probably the case for a majority of us. If I have some shonky beliefs happen in my brain that's leading to shonky thoughts on a daily basis, that leads to shonky emotions, which then leads to shonky behaviors, yeah, I'm probably going to feel a bit shonky in my body. If you resonate with this, you're not alone. You are so not alone. And a hard journey is not an impossible journey. You are a powerful creature. You are a magnificent vessel of creativity, of life force, of potential. The universe is conspiring in your favor. Your body is rooting for you and it. Sometimes, most times, you just gotta encourage a little bit of change, introduce some things that are gonna be healing, take out some things that are causing some shit to create those beautiful conditions for everything to flourish. Your body is doing the best that it can with what it has to work with. You have an amazing power to influence what your body has to work with. I'm going to go so far as to say no matter what symptoms you have, no matter the severity of any diagnoses you have, you always have the power to control at least a little bit of the conditions that your body experiences. And that can be the absolute fucking game changer for your health, an experience of this life in this body. Oh, fuck, man. Talk about a fucking follicular phase kicking in, huh? I'm pumping myself up here with my own words. That's so follicular. And there it is. There are my ins for your hormone health in 2024. Circadian rhythm, hydration, regular meal times, ditching the cycle shoulds, and facing your limiting beliefs and fears that you have about your body. And you know what? The flip side of that? Embracing your power. Oh, I would fucking love to see you embrace your power in 2024 and watch how that takes massive change to your health, to your life, to your vitality. It's getting me excited just thinking about it. No fucking joke. Because I'm getting excited for me and I'm getting excited for you and I'm getting excited for the collective. Because it's so possible. Oh, we are so powerful. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If you have questions about this episode, I would love to hear them. If you have comments about this episode, I would also love to hear them. I said some things. I'm sure you have some comments. You can reach out to me on Instagram. Slide into those DMs, baby. You are so welcome in there. You can also answer the question box below if you are listening on Spotify. Sorry if you're listening on Apple. Shout out. Shout out to you. Special shout out to you if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to suggest something, if you want to pop something out there that you would like to hear me talk about, also feel free to let me know. Slide into the DMs, answer the question box. I'll also put a fun little poll up in the episodes. I would love to hear from you. If you liked what I was putting down in this episode, I would love a rating and review, again on Apple and Spotify. It helps more people find the podcasts. It helps my podcast pop up earlier in people's searches when they're looking for this kind of information. They're looking for these kind of truth bombs about their health. So even just a rating helps so much, and I'm so grateful. Have a lovely rest of your day. Remember to check in with your body and check in with your cycle today, and I will catch you in the next episode. Take care. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Oh My Menses. If you have a special request of something you'd like to hear me talk about, or you have any questions that you want to ask me, please drop me a line at hello@corindaholistics.com.au. I would like to acknowledge the land and country on which I live, work and create, that of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I honour their connection to land, sea, flora and fauna across this country. I pay my respects to the elders of these communities, past, present and forthcoming.